Welcome to Act 2 You're On. Join us weekly at our studio roundtable as Rhonda, Kate, and Linda invite spectacular guests to weigh in on staying sexy, vibrant, and healthy. Launch your next great act with authenticity and purpose. Summon your courage, superstar, and step into the limelight. So grab a coffee
or a martini
and let's set the stage for a grand entrance. It's Act 2. You're on.
Greetings, friends. I am Linda Ty and have the great pleasure today of podcasting with my two dynamic A2YO co-hosts,
Kate Levy,
Rhonda Garvin-Conaway, and we are joined by the very talented Kathy Carswell, our amazing producers.
So I am the newly elected president of the Rotary Club of Wellesley. I am thrilled to talk to Sue Peghiny. She is an extraordinary woman. She's an incredible leader in Rotary, and she is the president of the Newton Rotary Club. And to our listeners, do you ever wonder how to have a bigger impact in your community and in the world? Do you ask yourself, which organization should I join? What do I have to contribute? I don't know. And so there's no better person to talk to about this than our guest, Sue Peghiny, who has had a few transitions in her life, maybe Act 2, 3, 4, from watch repair to receptionist to European sales manager to Rotarian leader extraordinaire. So let me just give you a little bit of background about Susan. There's a lot to say. So Sue has a wide variety of jobs and experiences, including growing up in the family clock and watch repair business, earning a bachelor's of music, and she joined a small software company as a receptionist and was elevated to European sales manager and has traveled a lot in Europe. She started her volunteer career after her son Leo was born. Among other things, she assisted blind elders, chaired the board of Symphony Pro Musica, the town of Southborough's first recycling committee, and its first DPW committee. It wasn't until she joined Rotary that she finally figured out what she wanted to be when she grew up, a Rotarian. So her first experience in Rotary was working on a big fundraiser, Newton Has Talent. She was subsequently served as the club's speaker chair, RILA, an Interact chair, membership chair, public image chair, and finally president in the 2018 to 19 when Newton won the District 7910 Gold Community Service and Public Image Awards, as well as Rotary International Presidential Citation. At the district level, Sue has been the assistant governor coordinator, district secretary, district public image chair, and the district visioning coordinator. She is currently a co-chair of the District 7910 Environmental Action Group. This is an impressive resume in Rotary. Welcome. We are so happy to have you here today.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Why don't we just start off why Rotary, right? There's a lot of ways you can contribute. And what made you decide Rotary was the place?
Ron and I lived in Southborough for almost 30 years and raised our son there. And I was involved in all the, bunch of volunteer things there, as well as things in school. And then when we moved to Newton, I was kind of cut off from all that. And I didn't really know how to get my grounding. I didn't know where to go. When you move into a town at our age, it's hard to make new connections when you don't have kids in schools. So I actually ended up in Rotary as a fluke. We had one of our new yappy dogs was a puppy, and I was at a dog park and I ran into a woman who was a Rotarian, and because I'll talk to anyone, I introduced myself. And so we started chatting and she said, "Oh, you're new. If you want to meet people, you should come to Rotary." And that's really how it happened. I went to a couple of meetings. I liked that they were people who are engaged and cared about their community and active, not couch potatoes, a wide variety of interests and experiences in the group. It's multi-generational, and I really like that. So for me, that was a great fit personally. I think the reason I stayed in Rotary is because many people do great volunteer work for an organization, that does one thing. They raise money for this or they do that. Rotary gives you the opportunity to touch many different spheres. You can help people, you can put in stoves in Guatemala, or you can work at food pantries in your own community. You can raise money, or you can do publicity. There's just a huge range of things you can be involved in. And I liked having that flexibility and that choice because it sounds weird to say, but I wasn't particularly passionate about one particular issue. So this lets me try different things. It's just such a great organization. I've just met so many people. I always like to say, I know more people because of Rotary. I know more people in Newton after almost 9 years than I did after 30 years in Southborough. And that's not nothing. And they're, really interesting, active people, all the way from the mayor to, the guy who runs Take It or Leave It. They know us and we get to talk to them. And I really like that.
It's a great thing to be in Rotary. One, it does connect you, but you're also doing such great things for your community, for the greater community. I know that there are 35,000 clubs, right? And I know as a teenager, I received benefit from
our local Rotary. We are musicians and we've received grants from our local Rotary here. Rotaries promote peace. They fight disease. They provide clean water, sanitation, and hygiene. They save mothers and children, support education, grow local economies. That's a good organization. Can you talk a little bit about those greater goals?
Right. Those are what we call our 6 of our 7 areas of focus. They just added a new one, which is the environment, finally, because it's a big one. What's great is that, as you said, there are something like 35,000 clubs, but each club gets to decide what they want to work on, what they care about. Many clubs focus on developing economies in third world countries or in developing countries. Or depending on where you live, it may be developing your own local economy or helping people in your own community. The people who live in Newton are frankly very fortunate. That doesn't mean there aren't people who aren't hungry, and it doesn't mean there aren't people who are struggling. But because of where we live, we're able to really kind of branch out beyond just our community. Although I have to say, during COVID, I really feel like our community our club was a critical player in keeping our community going. We played a big role in some food insecurity programs. You'd be surprised, even in a place like Newton, and I know in Weston too, there are hungry people, and it's sometimes tricky to reach them. But as you said, with all these areas of focus, you get to choose, and move around. I used to be very focused on public image. Now I'm very focused on the environmental things. I'm in the district environmental group, trying to get clubs moving forward on doing environmentally focused projects.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Like what, your environmental action plan, what you're doing in your club, or maybe what you're trying to do district-wide?
In our club, we're right in the middle of a textile recycling program. What we do is once a month, basically, we go out to the back of a mall and people bring bags and bags and bags and bags and bags of old socks, clothing, rugs, stuffed animals, pocketbooks, shoes, all kinds of things. And the goal is to get those things out of the waste stream. So that's one program that our club happens to be doing. I know that another club, I think it's Westboro, maybe a few others too, are doing a plastic bag recycling because, you just can't recycle those very many places, to get those out of the waste stream. So locally, clubs are doing a lot of different things like that. With the Environmental Action Group, our first goal is to educate clubs and Rotarians about resources and opportunities that are out there, project ideas, resources if they have a project, but they need someone to help them through it. So we're focused on kind of educating our clubs and our Rotarians, providing our own resources, like we have a list of projects that other clubs have done. So if they're looking for a project to do, we have that. We do a monthly, we call it a Climate Cafe, where we just present on something. Like on September 29th, we're hosting a past president, Ian Reesley, as our guest. And that's a pretty big deal. He's a past president of Rotary International. So he's hard to catch, but he's our speaker. And so and he was also very instrumental in getting the environment added as the 7th area of focus. So he was right on top of that. So it's really, right now, it's sort of more of an educational program. We're going to start going out to clubs, and that's kind of a traditional thing that Rotarians do when they're on a special group. They go to a club and they make a presentation about it. So the club knows that this resource is there for them. So we'll be starting to do that. We're trying to get a district-wide project going. Not working out so well, but we're going to keep working on it. It's hard across clubs and across districts because people are in different places at different times, but we would really love to do a district-wide project.
I'm in awe of what Rotary does accomplish. It's incredible how broad the reach is. And I'm married to a Rotarian, and we have had the privilege. You mentioned that it is an intergenerational opportunity, and there are members in the group who have been in there for over 40 years, and their history of what they have witnessed and be a part of because of their Rotarian experience is so powerful. But there's also a youth component structured into Rotary. And I understand it's called RYLA, and that stands for Rotary Youth Leadership Association.
Awards.
My apologies. Awards. So tell us again what it is.
Right.
And tell us all about what it is that you do with young people.
So I think RYLA is one of the best things that this district does. Just so you know, there's Rotary clubs like in most cities and towns, and then they're grouped into districts for training and other reasons. So Linda's club and our club are in District 7910. So each district will run RYLA, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. And I just think it's a fabulous program. What it does is it brings kids from all over the state together for a long weekend, like Friday morning till Sunday afternoon. And they do all kinds of really challenging and interesting things with a bunch of strangers. These kids are rising sophomores. So they're 15 years old, I think. And they do things that are, team building, ethical questions, conflict resolution. It's really it's one of the most powerful things in Rotary I ever saw. In fact, I went to volunteer at RILA one weekend. Our club did not send kids to RILA at that time. I went there and I was so moved by it that I went back and I said, we have got to get in on this because this is a terrific program. It really is a life-changing experience for kids. One of the most amazing things that I've ever seen is this thing called the culture walk. And they have all these funny names for things like culture walk. And what it does is there'll be a room of kids and a woman will ask them, okay, if you identify as male, come to the front of the room. Well, I happen to know that weekend there was a transgender student there. And that kid got up and walked to the front of the room, which was the bravest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. And so they would sit down, then does your family struggle with someone in your family who has alcohol dependency? And these kids got up and would talk about it. And, they started kind of just standing there goofy. And then they started supporting each other and, hugging each other and really being there for each other. And these were kids that did not know each other 6 hours earlier. It was really powerful. An ethical program they do is the balloon ride, I think it's called. It's not quite right, but it's something like that. There's not enough air in it to keep people there, everyone there. Who do you throw overboard? And everybody takes a character like Albert Einstein, famous world-changing people. And they have to talk about these ethical choices that they have to make. This is deep stuff. And I think it's one of the best programs Rotary does.
I love this because something you mentioned about your own story and why you even joined Rotary is about connection, right? And then you're giving young people an opportunity to connect because
it does. Service
really does start with that, right? It's all about connecting ourselves in a world that can feel sometimes very disconnected. Thank you for sharing that story. What a beautiful
Sure.
example.
Yeah, these kids stay connected for a long time. My niece went to RILA probably 20 years ago. And that led her to volunteer for Habitat for Humanity in Worcester. She went on to work for Habitat. She lives in Ireland. She married an Irish guy. She works for the Irish Cancer Society. So that started her on a path of service through her career. So it's not nothing.
No, and the generations that are coming along are going to have to deal with the environment in a way that we have ignored and kicked down the road. And they absolutely need to be in discussions about ethical dilemmas. Before they find themselves in them, for sure.
That's right.
But one thing I thought was interesting that I read in preparation for our meeting today, I did not know this, that Rotary played a significant role in eradicating polio. I did not know that.
Yeah, it started, I always forget the origin story, but I think it was a Rotarian in New Jersey or California. I can never quite remember. But anyway, it was one Rotarian, which is how all ideas in Rotary start. It has to be one Rotarian. So this guy said, I wonder if we can eradicate polio from our state. And they did that. And then they talked to other clubs. Well, I wonder if we can eradicate it from this region and then up to the Mississippi and then from the United States. And it grew from there. It's been the biggest project Rotary has done, I think, ever. And as we like to say, we're this close. We're so close to eradicating it. I think there's only 3 countries that have any cases. And these numbers are like 1 and 2. They're very low. And these places are war-torn communities, where it's very difficult to get in and to consistently inoculate kids. But it's close. It's almost there.
So how did Rotary facilitate that? Facilitate inoculating people or getting vaccines to people? Did they donate? Like, what did they?
Well, people donate. Rotary International has a partner organization called the Rotary Foundation, which is the nonprofit, the 501c3 that handles all of Rotary's money, kind of finances work of Rotary. Rotary itself is a 501c something else. I can never remember what it is. But anyway, so the Rotary Foundation is one of the oldest and biggest foundations in the world. It's been ranked as, I think, 4 stars ever since Charity Navigator began, 4 or 5, whatever the best number is. I think it's 4. It's the top number. It's really an astounding organization. People, Rotarians, individuals, foundations, all kinds of people make donations to the Rotary Foundation, and part of that goes to the End Polio Now program. There's also, I think, a separate fund. There's a separate organization called End Polio Now that's under the umbrella of Rotary. I honestly don't know exactly how that works. They use Rotarians on the ground in all kinds of places because it's got to be local. It's about trust. You want your healthcare to be someone you trust. So it can't be, I can't walk into a town in Uganda and they don't know me from anybody, right? It has to be their local physician or their local church people. And those are the Rotarians that do it. They are on the ground giving these, their drops actually to the children. So this network of healthcare providers has also been instrumental in getting the COVID vaccine to all kinds of communities all around the world, which is, I think, really awesome, which Rotary doesn't really talk about that much. I wish they would, but they don't. But
yeah,
that network was instrumental in getting vaccine around the world.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask that question, because I think Rotary doesn't talk about it enough. And it's really important. And it's really important what you're saying about the power of Rotary, because it's been around for so long, is that you've got this, power in the community and power in multiple communities and locking arms together in multiple communities to have that impact all over the world. And it's really extraordinary.
It really is, because it goes from, one person, me sitting in my office here, all the way up to this huge network of 1.2 million Rotarians around the world. That's powerful. And what I like to say is Rotary amplifies your work through, not only through grants, but through just networking and things like that. Whatever you want to do, Rotary will help you amplify it. So with the funding for the Rotary Foundation, for example, say our club had a project, we wanted to raise some money. So we raise some money, we apply for a grant locally, they, I think, match it, and then it goes to RI and it gets churned out. So say my $10,000 turns into $40,000 or $50,000 through the amplification of Rotary. And there are many places in the world where $40,000 or $50,000 can make a big dent in a project. Put solar panels to keep the pump going. We just helped with a project in India, I think it is, to put solar panels over the town pump to keep it going. Or we put solar panels on a girls' school in Afghanistan too. So this money makes a big difference, and that's the power of Rotary, amplifying your work and your money.
It's
Absolutely.
so inspirational.
Yes.
And I am feeling really curious. If I'm a listener of this podcast and I'm thinking, okay, I want to get involved, but maybe they just don't have a full understanding. You've done a beautiful job giving us examples of some of the things that Rotary does, but who am I to be a part of it? Maybe my line of work is not one I thought qualifies me to be in Rotary. Who do you have to be part of an organization like Rotary?
You have to be a human being who, wants to do good in the world. It used to be that, and many people still have the wrong image of Rotary, that it's a very exclusive men's only, lunch club. And it was like that for a long time, but they still did very good work. I just want to point that out. They did a lot of good work in that model, but that was an old model and it didn't work anymore. And women joined Rotary in 1989. And in the last, well, certainly since I've been a member, so in the last 8 or 9 years, the whole, rules, at least in our area, about who can join have been pretty much thrown away. If you want to contribute, if you want to network, if you want to meet people, if you want to have an impact, then you can be a Rotarian. That's really it. If you care about your community and you want opportunities to serve or opportunities to learn, to grow, not many organizations don't talk about this, but, I get a lot out of being a Rotarian. It's, you'll say, oh, I do it for the good of the world. I get something out of it and I'm okay saying that. And that's okay that, you're going to benefit. It's totally win-win. I have grown as a person in ways I never would have expected. I feel like my whole life I wanted to be a leader and I could never get there. And the Rotary was like, oh yeah, sure, be a leader. And it puts me up in front of people. I get to talk. I really grew me as a person. And it's okay to get something out of volunteering. And the best part of anything I do with Rotary, especially the service projects, the hands-on service project, is it's always fun. I have never done a hands-on service project that wasn't fun. So if you want to have fun, you want to meet people, and you want to do some good in the world, you should be a Rotarian. And what's really great is that if you're a Rotarian here, you're a Rotarian everywhere. My husband and I were out in Colorado last month for the birth of my first grandchild. There was a big Rotary event going on. So we went to the event and we met a lot of people, and they were so happy to see us because now we have friends in Colorado who are Rotarians. When we traveled to New Zealand years ago, I rented a house from a Rotarian. I sent an email to their club and said, I need to rent a house. And they got me a house. So you have this network of people all over the world who will automatically welcome you into their lives pretty much. It's pretty amazing. I don't think many other organizations have that human connection part of it.
And that reach.
Yeah.
That reach. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's something that I have found really profound about Rotary myself, and I do want to just go back and emphasize that women have only been part of Rotary since 1989, which is not really that long ago, and we're the fastest growing segment of Rotary. And on this podcast today, we have two women and female presidents of Rotary clubs, and Sue was actually going to be our district governor, but she got pulled into the need to be the president again of Newton. So I'm sure she will be our district governor next, maybe, or at some point, because she's amazing. She's been such an incredible support to our club and an incredible leader. Really,
Right.
incredible.
You have a great club. I was really happy to be your assistant governor. It was fun doing that with your club. I'm sad because as president this year, I can't be an assistant governor, which is sort of a role that kind of assists clubs. If they have a question or a problem, they just need someone with a little experience in Rotary to help with them. That's what the assistant governor does. It's a really fun role. You should be an assistant governor.
So maybe someday.
I feel like it's also a great example that you brought up 89. That was the year. But every organization, business, individual, we all have the opportunity to change if given the opportunity, right? If we really take stock and take a moment and pause, there's no reason why we can't change the rules. And I appreciate that Rotary did that. And I'm sure that evolution is something we all can follow in our lives and in whatever organizations we might be a part of.
Right. I don't know if your followers for the podcast are mostly women or if there are men too, but certainly for women in Rotary, it's a fabulous time to join, because the president of Rotary International next year is a woman. There's a very active women in Rotary group. There's definitely a sisterhood of women Rotarians. And it's really been wonderful to be part of that.
And I think we're living in a time when the world needs us all to be actively working toward good. And to know this is such a helpful conversation, to learn more about Rotary and to be invited to get involved. I like there's an opportunity to do good, but there's also an opportunity to connect, to find friendships and you were saying, and to have fun.
And grow.
That's a pretty good package and grow. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you get terrific business networking opportunities. It's really kind of got it all. It's a pretty amazing organization.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. It really does have it all. It has it all. And like you said, we work alongside each other. We choose which projects we want to be part of. We would choose how much we want to be involved or as little as we want to be involved. And everybody is welcome if you want to work on one project or if you want to work on all of the projects. It's, everybody's welcome and everybody's contribution makes a big difference. And that's a really amazing piece of Rotary, and work alongside each other. And you do make all kinds of friends. You make friends all over the community, from the people that you're working with in Rotary to the people that you need who want to help out Rotary to the people that you're helping with Rotary. And so I have found, like you, that it has really, I've gotten to know so many people in the community, and it's an amazing way. And that in and of itself helps you grow as a person amongst many other things. So I love that you said all that really beautiful, what you said. Yeah.
I also want to say you don't have to be a Rotarian to participate in many things. I mean, I would love for everybody to be a Rotarian. I really want to grow Rotary. But we have plenty of people who are just not able to join for whatever reason. They're just not ready to step in, but they show up for our service projects. We have two people. We have a bi-monthly project that we do. There's one guy who does it, and he's not a Rotarian. He just wants to help, and he does it through us. And so that's good too. So people can understand that even if you're not ready to make the commitment, and it's not that big a commitment, just want to let you know, if you're not ready, you can just pick and choose and work on just make the connection with Rotary, just make the connection and go from there and move at whatever pace you feel comfortable with.
Yes. Thank you so much. And so it is time to shift to our golden nugget segment of the interview. And so, just inviting you to weigh in to what our listeners might want to think about in their next great act. And certainly your next great act service is a huge component of that.
Yeah, many people in Rotary are new retirees, or they've changed their jobs. If they're working at home, they often have more of time available to do other things. It's just a great way to dip your toes into not only service, but new people, new connections. It's hard when you're making a life change to connect with other people. And this is a really great way to do it. So I would say, don't be afraid. Forget whatever it is you've heard about Rotary in the past. We're not your grandfather's Rotary. Not that it was a bad thing, but we're very different. And it's really an organization that's moving forward, that's being proactive and engaged. And that's the life I want to live. And I would hope lots of people want to be proactive and engaged and growth. Just my husband and I have recently retired. Like, that doesn't mean I'm done. Like, I'm just getting started, right?
Absolutely.
And this is a great way to do it.
Hear to that.
Yeah.
What an invitation.
Yeah.
Do not be afraid. But I'm afraid, actually, that I've been given the task of saying that our time is coming to a close. Before we say goodbye to Sue, we would like to hear what's next for you.
So what's next is really focusing on our new grandson and trying to find a way to be near him more often. And also, like I said, we'll probably be moving fairly soon. So we'll try and find our new Rotary community. And, that will be a big part of wherever we end up. We'll pick a town, maybe pick a house, but I'm going to pick a club too.
Sure.
I want the right club. So that it's a tough time right now to kind of say what's coming next, but my grandboy.
You take the wisdom of your experience and also knowing you'll have a community waiting for you wherever you go.
It is. That's exactly right. I know wherever we go, we have some connections. And that's powerful.
Yeah. And clearly good things are coming because you're spreading such good energy, and it comes back to you. So thank you for all the great work that you are doing. And I know that people are going to be intrigued and interested and hopefully inspired by this conversation to get involved. And if they want to reach out to you, Sue, because I think they're going to want to, they can learn more about what you do by reaching out to rotarynewton.org. And that's Newton, NEWTON.org. Get involved and find a niche and find a group of folks who are like-minded and want to get actively helping this world become a better place.
Right. If there's a contact button there, the email actually comes right to me. And, even if you don't live in Newton, you live somewhere else and you want to find out how to get to that other club or whatever, contact me. I'm happy to connect you. My goal is to get people in the right club, not necessarily my club. You want to be in the right place so you're successful and happy and get what you need out of it.
Thank you for that, Sue. And special thanks to our very talented producer, Kathy Carswell, for making this all possible today.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. And thank you, Susan, for joining us today. We're so grateful for this conversation. We're grateful for all of your wisdom. And to our viewers and listeners, check out Rotary. Be part of the ripple effect of changing the world. And you may find out that it may change you too.
So I think it's left to me to say, go forth, be brave, live well, and do good, because it's Act 2 and
you're on.
Act 2 You're On was brought to you by Act 2 Share Our Stage.
You can find us at a2yo.com and also on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Please listen and subscribe wherever you find your podcast. You can support us using Patreon. Thanks for listening.